indeed a pleasure to be here today. First seminar I'm planning to make you, so it's a privilege and honor for me to be here with you. And I know you had a long day. It's Sunday. You had so many other good stuff you could have done. You could have been watching TV. That's what we're going to be talking about, right? We'll make it short and sweet as much as we can. So, is it okay if I stand here? Yes. All right. Perfect. Oh, excellent. All right, so we're going to talk about the research that shows the impact and influence of mass media on children and adolescents. Cognition, which means how the use of today's mass media, the way it's presented to us, influences our thinking, and how that thinking changes based on our age, how old we are. Now, we have some children in the audience today, so I'll try to keep it PG, but this is usually a subject that is taught with the knowledge that we'll talk about stuff that children don't quite understand. So we'll try to stay in that zone. All right. So today, if you open your internet, what are you going to see? The latest headline news is how Beyonce is dealing with her pregnancy, right? And how Kim Kardashian is dealing with her divorce. And those are our top headlines that you will see gets our attention. Nobody talks about the fact that sexual and any kind of child abuse that Dr. Jane Miriam was referring to has gone up 15% since 2007, where we were having these difficulties in recession. Nobody talks about the fact that our poverty in the United States of America, the strongest and healthiest country of the world, has gone up from 15% poverty in the past 4 years to 26%. Nobody talks about the fact that there are motel children living in Orange County, one of the wealthiest counties in the United States of America, that have nothing to eat per day. So nobody talks, none of that. If you kind of page down to Google, maybe in small fonts you'll see those type of important news. But mostly what you will see about what celebrity has bought the latest house in Beverly Hills. So why are we so interested, right? Because of these reasons. We use media for entertainment because it's fun, right? We have daily mundane dealings that it's fun to know what other people are doing. It's for identity formation for children and adolescents. They look up to these media events to see how they can, who do they belong to, how to form their identity. And it's high sensation. It's good to know someone else is in trouble, other than, someone else that it's not us. We cope, the type of rap music that these children are today listening to speaks about social issues, problems that they deal with. Therefore, they're interested because it makes them feel better. And, of course, it is cultural identification. We will talk about some of these. Alright, so today's media contains violence, persuasive advertisement, sexual contact, sexism, racism, cyberbullying, cyber morality. What's cyber morality? We're going to talk about that. Stereotyping, health issues, obesity, and eating disorders. Well, have you ever watched I Love Lucy? How many of you watch I Love Lucy? And you don't have to date yourself. We watch it on Nick at Nights, okay? It's not that we were there when it was made, right? Yeah. You will never see a bathroom scene in I Love Lucy. And the beds are separated, like two twin beds, right? Father Knows Best. You don't see that stuff in Father Knows Best, those of you who watch it. Or Dennis the Menace, right? So that's the way TV was. Today's TV, the reality shows actually have shown an increase in girls' sexual activities and sexual interest. Alright, so that's today's TV. Alright, so is violence that so fascinates us something new? Is this a new concept? Not really. I mean, Egyptians and Roman used this type of spectators' sports, as seeing someone being torn apart by a lion or gladiators, were used to be a means of entertainment for human beings. So naturally, we're drawn to violence and sensationalism. So it's nothing new, right? So I know it's time to watch some TV because we can't talk about media without watching something about it. So we're going to watch a little bit about this. It's very important, so I'm going to let us watch the whole thing.
All I wanted was to help you.
I only wanted to help. And what did you say to me?
Fly home, buddy. I work alone.
It tore me apart. But I learned an important lesson. You can't count on anyone, especially your heroes.
I was wrong to treat you that way. I'm sorry.
See? Now you respect me, because I'm a threat.
How many Disney movies did you see as a child? How many times did you watch your favorite one? And how many of those songs can you still sing all the lyrics to?
The way the media influences the way we think is much less immediate and much less a sort of straightforward impact on the way we think. And it's much more a question of creating a certain environment of images that we grow up in and we become used to. And after a while, those images will begin to shape what we know and what we understand about the world. And that's not an immediate kind of whiz-bang effect. That's a slow, accumulative effect, and it's much more subtle.
Let's take a look-see. Paint your hair. Not likely. Yikes, 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 and let me guess, you have a great personality.
Most Disney movies revolve around a heterosexual relationship between a hero and heroine. Feminists have studied what these relationships tell girls about themselves, but it is just as important to think about what they tell boys about how real men interact with and think about women. Often, the message to boys, both implicitly and explicitly, is that men should view women as objects of pleasure or as servants to please them.
You didn't miss a shot, Gaston. You're the greatest hunter in the whole world.
I know.
No beast alive stands a chance against you. You had no girl for that matter.
It's true. And I've got my sights set on...
A girl worth fighting for. I wanna feel the moon with eyes that shine like stars. My girl will marvel at my strength, adore my battle scars.
I couldn't care less what you wear or what she looks like. It all depends on what she cooks like. Pork, chicken.
Disney movies glorify one particular body type above all others: chiseled abs, a barrel chest, and massive arms. Men with any other body type in Disney movies are generally outcasts or weak and subservient. One of the most extreme examples is the contrast between the very powerful Gaston and the bumbling LeFou in Beauty and the Beast.
As you see, I've got biceps to spare.
Not a bit of his scraggly or scrawny.
That's right. And every last inch of me's covered with hair.
In Mulan, when Mulan joins the army by attempting to pass as a man, she is taught very quickly that masculinity is defined primarily by strength and physical prowess.
It must be swift as a coursing river, with all the force of a great typhoon, with all the strength of a raging fire, mysterious as the dark
The masculinity of violence and dominance is very clear in Disney films, where an unwillingness to fight or prove dominance is often shown as pitiful.
too kind and gentle to fight back.
The climactic scene of most Disney films is a battle between two men. The violent battle to win the love of the woman or maintain private status is the most important scene in establishing which of these characters is the better man.
As you wish, your man.
So we've seen pretty clearly the image of masculinity that Disney films show us.
Alright, so I thought it's important for us to see bits and pieces of Disney. I mean, after all, Disney built the happiest place on earth, didn't he, right? But in every one of his movies, whether he was responsible for making it or after his death, that you see that there is always a damsel in distress. Somebody needs to be rescued, and there is usually a strong prince that comes and rescues this person that he's got. Now, is this the reason that our 4-year-old girls are thinking and planning the wedding, and always want to be waken up by a prince, or is this the reason that our boys believe that they have to fight over the girl? I mean, we're not blaming Disney. Some say Disney himself had a dark side, as a matter of fact, and he suffered from depression for years. We're not saying that, and they say there is a personal messaging in his cartoons. What about the recent cartoons that they made? So, all right, so we'll hold that thought. We're going to get to that. Who's responsible for all of this? Television and aggression. Now, the United States of America has the highest crime rate, combined with Italy, England, France combined. America still supersedes the number of, and it's done by ages 15 to 25. As a matter of fact, it's #1 cause of death during this for this age group. Since 1960 to 1990, we have seen a rise, as I use the example between I Love Lucy and, let's say, what we see today on TV, all the, let's say, the police sitcoms and the CSI, exactly, so CSI type of movies. So, what we're saying, France, here is that you can't really blame the media for the cause of death, because it's all correlational. What does that mean? That means that, on one hand, researchers are trying to show that the increase in violence in TV programming kind of shows the increase in crime. On the other hand, let's say the big TV executives are saying, hey, you don't want it, don't like it, what?
Don't watch it.
Turn it off, right? So they're putting the responsibility on parents. And we're going to come back to that too, and how we can be responsible. So not only there's more violence on TV, as you can easily compare yourself by watching something that was in the 1950s or 1960s, you can also see that the type of violence that we see today on TV is pretty explicit, which means the gorier it is, the more blood it is, the ratings, the higher the ratings of the show. So it's not just the violence itself, but also. So what about tobacco and advertising? It's ironic that they asked children between the ages of 6 to 10 to recognize some famous names. And you know who they named as people they recognized? It was the Marlboro Man.
Joe Camel.
The Camel, that represents the Camel cigarettes. And Virginia Slim and McDonald's Watch. They couldn't name any presidents, even of current presidents at the time that the research was done. But they could recognize Marlboro Man, the rugged look that Marlboro Man had. And that is why we have made some changes, and now they cannot have bulletin boards near schools because it's some type of persuasive advertising. Alright, so are they targeted to adolescents? Let's see, 90% of them start smoking by the time they're 18. And, it makes it cool. Camel, as a matter of fact, was recognized because it represents coolness. I don't know how camel can represent coolness. I don't know, right? You have to get inside an adolescent's brain. So brand choice, the brand choice alone was 3 times as strong for adolescents as adults because we see, we want, is what it's trying to say. All right? Talked about that. So now let's see how smoking in cartoons are depicted. Disney, let's blame Warner Brothers and Universal Studios and all that. I mean, unless Jerry has prescription for marijuana, which I don't think it was legal then, why do I have to have my child watch this scene? All right, now you say, what is cute? Because I just heard my dear friend, Sona's right here, says, I've never seen this. And I'm saying, yes, you have. So what is it that you think, I've never seen this smoking out? I remember many smoking scenes in cartoons. The reason we don't remember is because we are desensitized. Okay? We see it, we don't think about it, it just goes by. It's an image, right? And that's how it impacts our children. We're going to talk about that in a minute. All right, so advertisement. 1950s. Children started to be recognized by big advertising companies as consumers. Meaning what? They have the freedom of choice. They have money to purchase. So let's pay attention to them and see how we can get this big. As a matter of fact, you want to make money? Come up with some invention that has to do with either pets or children. I guarantee it. Maybe I should get into that business because teaching isn't paying much, right? So come up with something that is towards those two, either pets or children, and you'll make money. All right? So let's see, under age of 12, they spent $2.2 billion in 1968. Look how much it went up. How can you make that much more money from 2.2 to 23.4 billion? How many years are we talking about? 33 years? What business can you be in that makes that I can't even calculate the power to the number, right? 10 to the power of what? You're making money, right? 1968, the influence was 5 billion, now it is 50 billion. Friends, these advertisement companies, they know who the consumer is. It's not us, it's our children. When you go to Toys R Us, and the child is tagging on you and then pulling on your shirt and saying, I want this, and they have a tantrum, and as Dr. Bethel was explaining, if we're one of those permissive parents, what are we going to say? I'm going to just get it for you so you stop crying, and then that's it. We are conditioned. Done deal. Right? So let's see, what did they spend all that money on? Toys, cereals, snacks, fast food, healthy food. Oh. Anything else? 17, and that probably is Nintendo games and all that stuff, right?
How about books?
Sorry.
Books.
Books, yeah, it didn't make the. It was so minimal that it didn't even make it. Couldn't show it. All right, now toys. These advertising companies, they're so smart. They know how to appeal to girls, how to appeal to boys. Now next time, and this is the power of desensitization that I'm talking about. Next time you're watching a commercial, please do it for me. Pay attention to the way it is directed towards females and males. If you pay attention, close attention, you will see that advertisements for boys are extremely fast-paced, and the music is very aggressive, and boys are normally playing by themselves with some kind of a toy. If you pay attention attention to, and the colors are very boy colors, dark and you know what boys like. If you look at a commercial directed towards girls, what are you going to see? Group of girls playing, slow change of scenes, and the music is very soothing. They know what they're doing. How many of you have ever been to Toys R Us trying to buy something for somebody, either your own kids or a gift, right? You pay attention. Toys R Us is set up. You don't even have to tell your boy or girl that you're going shopping with where to go. They know exactly where to go. Boys section and girls section. And as Mr. Miyazaki was referring to this morning, the androgyny, unfortunately, is not there because they don't care about your children having both characteristics of male and female. All they care about is that your child can find it and make you buy it. They go home and play with it. They don't care about them. But what should they? We're their parents, right? All right, so how do they represent these commercials? Let's look at it. 27% make these commercials looking fun. Like what? If I get this toy and take it home, I'm going to have so much fun with it. It's like beer commercials. You know, in beer commercials, do they ever show the person being drunk and, you know, having a... yes, you know, the next day, buy the toilet bowl. No, they don't share that one. If they do, then you never buy it, right? So beer commercials. Now pay attention next time you're watching a beer commercial. Not that you would. I'm just saying, right? But if you see there's a whole bunch of people having fun by the pool and a lot of girls and boys are just having fun, right? They never show the hangover the next day. Why should they? All right? So 19% is for taste and flavor. By the way, food commercials are both gender. They're not gender biased. Toy commercial is gender biased. Food commercials for all genders. You see boys and girls both, right? Have you ever paid attention when you go to, you know, your favorite grocery store for you know, where the cereals are? Where are they? They're right in the middle. Why do you think they do that? Because your kid can see it. Healthy cereals are on top. Unhealthy cereals are right in the middle. Okay, now you're walking with your 5-year-old, 4-year-old, and they're having a tantrum. I want this, I want this. Are you going to look bad in front of other people? I don't think so. You're just going to grab their sugary cereal and go home. They know what they're doing, okay? Okay, now what about music? You can see what Eminem wrote about his, at the time, strange wife, right? And he wanted to kill her. And like I said, I'm not going to get too graphic about this. You can read it. They make me do it. I know. It's a tough job, but somebody else to do it. All right, so let's watch a little bit of this, just a little bit.
Independent Lens, I'm Terrence Howard, your host. You see, all his life, Byron Hurt thought that he knew what was necessary to be a real man in America. He was a college football star, a ladies' man, and a guy who loved hip-hop music. Well, now Byron's an independent producer. He still loves the music, but he's got some serious questions for the industry and all of us who listen to hip-hop music.
Black death, whether it's the film, whether it's just the news, it's the bottom line. In the black culture, money making. Black death is dependent by corporations.
You see, this is a one-of-a-kind experience, watching Byron get real with some of the biggest names in hip-hop. So there's violence, misogyny, and homophobia. Is that the way hip-hop's gotta really be? Hip-hop, beyond beats and rhymes. Next on Independent Lens.
So, okay, what it's saying is that's what you see in hip-hop and in rap music nowadays. It's degrading to women, it's racist, it's sexism, and it's all of that. And you know what? Our kids listen to it. We don't pay attention much to it, that they're listening to it. I asked my daughter one time, why are you listening to this? Because I didn't know, and I listened to the lyrics and said, you can't listen to this. You know what she said? She said, Mom, I'm not paying attention to the lyrics. I love the beat. You know? Now today, if I want to stop her from doing that, I just go like that. Mom, stop doing that. I said, well, that's what you were listening to it, right? So now we're going to talk about that, how you can embarrass your children. So websites, okay? Websites, there are websites available to your children that they can actually go there and depict any kind of murder scene they want because, you know, they hate somebody, they hate some celebrity or somebody, they go in there and these kind of websites allows them to do the actual killing and the gory, and it's very colorful. So it makes it real. Alright? Video games. What about video games? A lot of people play video games, right? What's wrong with video games? Now, I'm not going to give a show of hands because, you know, there's some violent video games out there. Now, it's very funny, statistically, the United States Army, World War II, Second War, right? They wanted to figure out why is it that, you know, because the Army is kind of like a company, you know, they're into making money. If they send their soldiers out there and they don't kill enough people, that means they're not doing a good job training them, right? So, Second World War II, United States of America Army found out that their soldiers are not shooting. They're standing there and they're not shooting. So, the productivity was only 10%. Right? So, there were a lot of American soldiers being killed than killing. So, what they did, they started using these violent video games that glorifies step by step, which means what? The more you kill, the more points you get, right? And unfortunately, these video games have become so real that it is really very difficult to distinguish between that it is a video game, right? So guess what their productivity has gone up to since they've had their soldiers actually play these video games hours every single day. From 10% productivity to 80%. That's pretty good, isn't it? And that's why you don't see Vietnam War, Korean War. How many American soldiers were killed? Altogether, probably 100,000, right? Today, how many have we had American soldiers killed in Iraq? 2,000 so far? Right? Iraq War. That means we've gone up, you know, we're doing a better job. Right? So how do they train them? Now, are we saying that these video games are responsible for American soldiers to be better? Well, we'll talk about that in a second. Alright, now, are they responsible for increasing the productivity in American Army? Well, I want to introduce to you a researcher. His name is Albert Bandura. What he's done from, let's say, 1950s, a couple of decades after TV was invented, he started seeing an increase in aggressive behavior, and this is what experimentation he did.
The model followed the doll with the mallet, flung it in the air, kicked it repeatedly, threw it down and beat it. It was once widely believed that seeing others enact aggression would drain the viewer's aggressive drive. As you can see, exposure to aggressive modeling is hardly a part. Exposure to aggressive modeling increased attraction to guns, even though it was never modeled. Guns had less appeal to children who had no exposure to the aggressive modeling. The children also picked up the novel hostile language.
remember Bobo doll. But they were meant for children to take aggression out and to play with them. But what is significance? That's not significant because they were made to be kicked and pushed and used as that. What the significance of this is that what was shown to children, they not only imitated, but they came up with their own ideas. So being exposed to violence, does that make you more creative about additional violence? That's what it says. All right. Okay, so we talked about the sexual scenes, the video games. Now let's talk about the health side of media. Now we are having two problems in this day and age. One is eating disorders. All right, eating disorders has increased and unfortunately has crossed over to male gender because eating disorders like bulimia and anorexia used to be a female, white American middle class problem. Unfortunately, now we have seen an increase of 10% in male eating disorders. That has been reported. We don't think the 10% shows the real number because it is very hard for a male adolescent to confess to starving themselves because males are portrayed to be, this masculine and, hefty eating all the time and making themselves look, really big. So they don't confess, but we're seeing that there's a crossover. Do media images have something to do with it? Well, take a look at the cover of magazines where celebrities are celebrated by giving attention on the cover, even celebrities that have been forgotten for many years. Now, all of a sudden, they lose 20 pounds and they're on every magazine cover. Does that my child who's 4 years old? And as a matter of fact, we are seeing an increase in 4-year-olds eating disorder. Often, when I taught preschool many years ago, I would hear, we had snacks and we had cookies and milk. I would hear 4-year-olds telling me, I can't eat that, I'm on a diet. It blew my mind. How can a 4-year-old be on a diet?
The best one is Barbies.
Well, maybe that's what they talked about at home. Maybe they saw it on TV, but we are having an increase now. Obesity. Problem with obesity. Approximately 30% of children ages 6 to 11 are overweight. You know what? It is tragic that today we know a child born today, for the first time in 100 years, will not outlive his parents. What does that mean? In the 21st century, the age of prolonged living. As a matter of fact, they are doing a lot of studies on how to prolong our life to a couple of 100 years. Who wants to live more than 100? Who wants to live up to 100, right? If that is the goal, then why are we having contradicting research findings that these children are not going to outlive their parents, which means I can live longer, but I'm not going to. Because watching TV, playing video games for hours and hours a day prevents these children. Not only that, I was talking to a friend of mine that she mentioned, a pediatrician, eye doctor has just reported that these children as young as 2 years of age, when they are watching TV, they lose the peripheral ability of their eyes, which means what? They're always looking straight. They're not as spatial as other children who are active looking and finding objects. So it is really, unfortunately, impacting our health as well. All right, bottom line, all of this, what we're saying, it's all correlational. It's not cause and effect, which means what? Well, there may be other factors involved. Pre-genetic disposition, as some of our speakers talked about. A parenting style, maybe the home environment, many things. But TV violence does not help either. Sexual activities. 49% of what you see on TV as being sexualized. White adolescents. 58% Latino adolescents. These are high school students, 9 to 12, who have had intercourse. 73% African American adolescents. And guess what? The United States of America has the highest number of teenage pregnancy, unfortunately. These are all the statistics. There are many reasons for that. Of course, we're not blaming TV again. I'm not standing there in front of you giving you the answers to all the questions, but there are, these are some of the problems we have to, because, reality shows today, unfortunately, have shown an increase in female adolescent sexual activities. Because if I see teen moms, how many of you have seen that reality show? If I see, yes, Kardashians, if I see all these reality shows, what are they doing? They're showing that it's okay. You can have this child, you know, you'll be famous. You'll make money. How are sexual portraits on TV? Well, soap operas, any type of sitcom always shows men looking for sex and females being promiscuous, right? Sexual content, and there is more sexual activity than there is talk about it. You never see in any TV programming where, you know, they're in a bedroom scene and they talk about the consequences of having unprotected sex. You never see stuff like that. You never see that they talk about, oh, let's not do this. Why? Because it's not sensational. We're not going to watch it if they talked about this stuff. Alright? So, media is filled with sexual talk, and the male and female have gender role expectations. Specifically show us what males are expected to do, what females are expected to do. And also, young children who watch more than 24 hours or more TV demonstrate more stereotyped sex role. Now, what are we saying? What we're saying is, you and I watch this stuff, well, we're adults. Our thinking pattern is different. A 4-year-old has difficulty distinguishing between reality and fiction. When I see Tom and Jerry go after each other and use every means to, you know, harm each other, I'm a 3-year-old. I'm not thinking, oh, it's just a cartoon. When I'm thinking, oh, this is how I get rid of my problems, right? That's what we're talking about. That there is tremendous differences between the thinking pattern of a 2-year-old, a 5-year-old, a 12-year-old, a 15-year-old, and 20-year-old. So as parents, as we see our children use any of these media outlets, we have to put ourselves in their thinking. How do we do that? Well, education. We educate ourselves about how they think. There's questionable language. I know, we've had a long day, so I'm trying to not rush through these things because they're important, but at the same time, kind of go a little faster. So, research shows that adolescents who read teenage magazines engage in risky behavior. Have you ever picked up any of these teen magazines, 17, and, what is on the cover? How to look more appealing and beautiful to, to catch your boyfriend, or catch a boyfriend, or how can you be skinny? How can you be skinny in 5 days? How can you lose 5 pounds in 35 minutes? Lucille Ball tried that, it didn't work. And that steam, she wanted to fit. Now, by the way, Lucille Ball tried that, and she wanted to fit from a size 12 into a size 10. Alright? She tried. Didn't work. She didn't fit in that costume. Alright? Now, something new. So we knew about video violence. We knew about TV sexual contents. But something that is fairly new is cyberbullying. Any bullying is trying to harm someone with the intention of harming them. No other reason. Alright? So cyberbullying is catching like wildfires, unfortunately. What's happening is, my mother, when I was growing up, if she wanted to protect me from others, all she would have to do is call me into the house and say, you're coming in. Right? Today, your child is sitting next to you on the couch and they're being bullied. There is a huge difference between the two time frame here. Alright? They're being bullied via Facebook, MySpace, texting, all of that. So it's hard to protect our children today than it was 30 years ago. That's when I was born, by the way. What? You don't believe me, honey? Tell them. Alright? So, now, why don't we stop this? What is the reason that we cannot stop by cyberbullying? Why? The reason is technology is moving at a much faster rate than our laws are. You know how hard it is to get a law signed and have voted in, all of that? Alright, so the first case that ever got legal attention, and I'm sure you all know about this case. Case of Missouri woman. This woman opened a fictitious account on MySpace with the intention of harming her friend, who was her boss. Her boss's 13-year-old. So there is this mother, has a 13-year-old, and this mother has an employee. The mother made her employee to open a MySpace account to harm another girl who used to go to school. So this girl's name was Megan. Now we have Megan Law. For the first time, they were able to give jail sentence to this woman who fictitiously posed as Josh, a 16-year-old who started a relationship with this other 13-year-old Megan. And the last thing that this fictitious character said to Megan was, the world may be a better place without you. And that's exactly what Megan did. She was only 13. Alright, cyber morality. What is cyber morality? Another one of those new things we have to deal with, and that is things that we do over the internet, we don't think much of it. You know, our morality, the difference between right and wrong, has kind of changed. Why? Because, you know, it takes a lot for somebody to go in a store and shoplift. We're just taught not to, we know it's wrong. It's much easier to sit by your computer and copy a song or a movie and not think anything of it. So that's called cyber morality. So our children are getting used to that. Alright, so what can we do? Are there any solutions? Yes, it's called media literacy. What does that mean? Educating ourselves and our children. Now, I'm going to summarize all this media literacy. We don't have to go through every PowerPoint. It will be posted on the website. You can read it at your leisure time. But media literacy basically says that us, as parents, educators, administrators, we take these classes that teach us content analysis. What is content analysis? Exactly what I did in the beginning of the presentation. Show you something like a movie or a commercial or a cartoon and give you some kind of a form and start having you do critical thinking, which means look at every scene and tell me how many times you hear the word this, how many times you see that, how many times you see something questionable. So we start to learn to content analysis. So that's one part of media literacy. The other part is that we never let children and adolescents alone with television and let them play in a video game in a room. We are always with them. And when I talk about that in class, because I teach a media and adolescent course at Cal Circle, when I talk about that, and you know, how many children have their own TV in their room, right? How many of us use television as a babysitter? Now, you know what television is now called? It's called an electronic wreath, which means, you know, 50 years ago, above your fireplace, there was this beautiful flower wreath or something. Now there's a TV. And I refuse to do that. Above my fireplace, there's a mirror. I'm not going to put a TV there. It's not decorative, I don't think. Right? So, media literacy. We educate ourselves. We take these classes or read about it. Or read a book about it, we find out what content analysis is, and you watch television with your children, and there's only one TV in the house, and that's in the family room, and as you're watching these TVs, not only use parental guidance, which means PG-13 or age appropriate. If your child is 14, then above the screen there is a rating for about 14 years old. How many times? We don't know that. We don't know that TV programming has also been rated now. It's not just for the movies. Right? So another media literacy. We discuss these situations with our children. You know, Hannah Montana, I do this. I always watch TV with my children. They get tired of it. And after a while, you know, my younger daughter especially says, Mom, can I just listen to music without doing content analysis? I said, not on my watch, right? So we talk about it. Hannah Montana, you know, 13 years old. How many of you have seen Hannah Montana's sitcoms? It's no longer on TV, but it was, right? 13-year-old Hannah Montana's focus in life is to find a boyfriend, right? And then to have the first kiss. We talk about that. You know, should Hannah, 13-year-old, look for a boyfriend? What is that going to do? We talk about all that. Open communication. That's media literacy. All right, let's see if we're, I know you're standing there, and that means my time is up. But Channel 1 research. Channel 1 is, how many of you, you've been to high school here, how many of you remember Channel 1? Right, Channel 1 is a 15-minute daily, I think 15 or 12 minutes. a daily programming for junior high and high school. We should start showing them about content analysis and media literacy. That's one way. We got them. They're sitting in the classroom, whether they want it or not, they can watch it in their classroom. All right, so I hope that I was able to cover as much as we could in the short time we had, and I appreciate your attention. Thank you.